Hey everybody, Chronos here with another Warthunder simulator battle video. And in today's video I thought I will show you a bit more from the P-38 Lightning and the A6M0. Now, some time ago I made a video of the P-38E, the oldest and least capable Lightning currently in Warthunder, and I also said I will take a look at more capable P-38 models higher up in the tree. Now, what I originally planned on doing was to show the P-38G as well as the L model, which is the latest version of the P-38 we have in game, and the jump in performance between them. However, I changed my plans a bit on that one regarding the P-38L, as there's a problem I ran into, and that problem is the battle rating based EC mode. Now, I have said in the past that the battle ratings are even worse in battle rating EC than they are already in the normal queue, and the P-38L is one of the examples of why. In simulator mode, both the P-38J and L are on battle rating 4.3. Why on the same, nobody knows. In realistic battles they are not. But anyway, because of the 4.3 battle rating, you can't bring the P-38L in rank 4 EC games. You're stuck in rank 3, same as the G, and that means first of all it takes long to even get the plane, but more importantly it means that with the way battle rating EC is currently implemented, the P-38L will never see anything higher than battle rating 4.7, and even that rarely. Especially in games such as the Japanese, this means flying an upgraded P-38L, you will outperform everything with the exception of Raidens by ridiculous levels, including planes that have a similar battle rating like the A6M5 or Ki-61, so the whole timer thing isn't working either to balance anything out. You can't face any Hayates or N1Ks, nor K-44s, because they are too low, so you face mostly early zeros. The G1 is already pretty good here, completely stock, as I fly it mostly in this video, as I fly the G model for the first time, but an upgraded L that can't meet anything above 4.7, I just don't think that would be too interesting, so I wait with that till there are more options available to play the plane. Now, I figured last time I did a P-38 video, I followed it up with a Zero video, so I figured I could do that instead and fly one of the later Zeros. As a matter of fact, I'll fly the A6M5 Otsu, which will with its battle rating of 5.0 be placed in battle rating 4 matches, and take a look at the differences between those two very different approaches in fighter philosophy. So, let's start with the P-38G1. The first P-38 model with over 1,000 produced planes. Now, the P-38G is the first P-38 we had in Warthunder, and for a long time it was the only one. It's in game since years by now, however, since I was never particularly happy with the P-38's flight model for most of this time, till 1.53 brought some improvements, I actually never flew it before this video. So I had to upgrade it, and in the footage in most of this video it is stock. And the P-38 really benefits from upgrades, as all fighters depending on speed. Unupgraded the P-38 does not perform that well, but still pretty good, at least in this matchup. So let's take a quick look at some action in the P-38, and then we talk about the Zero in comparison. In this first engagement my P-38 is still stock, and you really notice that in-game when it comes to speed and acceleration. I'm coming straight from the airfield, and as a friendly plane called for help and I could see him being engaged, I flew straight there, so I am a bit low and slow. And you can see with the planes being stock, its speed is not building up quite as fast. Something to keep in mind and when you just lock the plane. Still, it is faster than the Zero will go in a straight line by quite a bit. I line up the first of two Zeros that are engaged with a Spitfire, and I fire a burst as the Zero turns in front of me and get some good hits to take the Zero out, and then I go up in a shallow climb to keep my speed up while looking back to make sure my tail is clear. Just after an attack is one of the most common times to get attacked, with enemy planes having an opportunity to close in on you while you concentrate on your target. I'm clear though, but the second Zero is behind the Spitfire, so I pulled up steeper to get above them and come back down behind the Zero. Usually I try to get closer than this before I open fire, to have a better chance to take the target out before it reacts, but with the Zero firing on the Spitfire, I open fire at longer distance to hopefully distract him from the Spitfire. I close in fast though, and the second Zero goes down, and I pull back up, again checking behind and then going up a bit steeper to regain altitude. Here you notice the fact that it is a stock plane, as I barely make it up to 1000 meters before running out of speed, and I need to dive a bit to get back up to speed faster as I see some more planes in the distance and I want to get there fast. I look behind me a few more times, since as we were just fighting and shooting there's a good chance that there might be enemy planes diving in behind. But all I can see is a F4U, so I'm not the only one flying in that direction. Now, I can spot at least one more plane to the front, a bit more to the right, but I'm mostly interested in the ones more to the left, close to the small hill, as I could see trace of fire there, so at least some of the planes over there are enemy. As usual, I want to build up some speed while flying at those planes in the distance, so I have the ability to attack and then have sufficient energy to go up above the fight afterwards if necessary. I have however trouble really getting up to speed. I have to say, it feels to me as if the aerodynamic upgrades might be a bit more influential now than they used to be in the past. At least I get the impression that the difference between unupgraded and fully upgraded is bigger now than it used to be, not just on the P-38 but other planes as well. But I might be wrong, those things are hard to judge without the ability to directly compare it with an older version. Now, as I close in, I can see multiple planes, and two of them pull up in front of me, and I assume at least one of them is enemy as they are chasing each other. So I pull up my nose a bit myself and position it in such a way that they will show up in front of me. I take a quick look at another plane higher to the right, but he is friendly, so back to the two planes I saw earlier. I can see enemy tracer fire, but they have a mid-air collision. Another enemy plane a bit further back though is pulling up and attacking a Spitfire, and I am in a great position to attack him. The Zero is running low on speed and I open fire, and I can take the Zero out just before running out of speed myself. Again, the stock plane isn't performing too well. Now we have lots of other friendlies arriving at the scene and no more enemy planes, so this is it for this engagement. I did play one game after that with the almost fully upgraded G. Overall it wasn't the most entertaining one, but I'd like to show you one or two quick clips from it to show the speed difference. Now here I got jumped by a A7M Repu, not the very fastest plane around, but still faster than a Zero, and certainly more maneuverable than a P-38G, so I put the nose down and dive away. I do one or two quick defensive spirals to make a harder target, but not too much as the primary goal is to get fast, quickly, and then gently level out and take as much speed as possible into the horizontal and gain distance. Doing so and looking back, the P-38 is building up speed so fast in the dive that I have to be careful not to overspeed the plane. The Repo of course has no chance of following. I could gain a good amount of distance in the dive, and flying straight and level after that, the P-38G, at least upgraded, is faster than the A7M. So the Repo has to give up and break off, and I turn around to engage another group of planes I saw when I was flying away from the Repo. There seem to be two enemy planes engaged with one friendly one, and I fly at what I assume is one of the enemies to attack. It's a Zero and it is turning sharply in front of me and then pulling up after the friendly plane, and I line up this Zero and fire and set the Zero on fire. And then keep going straight and looking back while not ascending too steeply at first to keep some speed up just in case something is behind. But there's nothing on my 6, but I can see a Raiden and a Thunderbolt a little bit further behind, so I go up to get above them. And then start to bring the nose around again to come around to attack the Raiden, which I'm assuming at this point is turning with the Thunderbolt. The Raiden, however, is coming at me and is pointing his nose at me, and I have no desire for a head-on, so I turn out of the way and then check the 6 again and start to go up again, to attack a second time. However, just in this moment I have another enemy plane diving down behind me. It looked like a Zero, but I'm not 100% sure. I push the nose down to regain speed and look back again, and the enemy plane is indeed a Zero, and therefore of course much more maneuverable than my P-38, so I push the nose down some more and start to open up the distance. The Zero fires at long range, and I get hit by a few machine gun bullets, but it can't be helped. However, the speed difference is so large so quick that I'm out of range in no time, and the Zero has to give up. Now, I think you can see that there's quite a big difference in how fast the upgraded plane can build up speed in comparison to the stock one. And those are some examples for the typical use of a plane like the Lightning in an environment like this, with most planes being more maneuverable by a lot, however also in most cases much slower. And again, this is why speed is the most important trait for a fighter plane. Simply outrunning an opponent and coming back later in a better position is probably not the most exciting tactic. It is, however, effective when the speed difference is in your favor by such an amount. Most US fighters from World War II era were built with this philosophy in mind. On the other side of the spectrum, the A6M0 on the other hand was designed with a complete opposite philosophy and put maneuverability above speed and everything else. That makes an incredible maneuverable plane, which is great fun to fly and can outmaneuver almost anything in seconds. In the early days of World War II, the Zero was also incredibly successful, as the extent of its maneuverability advantage was not fully understood, but also because the planes at the time it was facing were not all that much faster themselves, like the Hurricanes or F-4F Wildcats. That changed though by the time the A6M5 Otsu, which I fly in this video, entered service. Pretty much all fighters it faces were much faster, though the advantage of the Zero in slow speed maneuverability was even greater against those. The problem with this is, you can only use this advantage when the other guy fights on your terms, and if he's not willing to do so on his own, the only way to force a maneuvering engagement is if you're fast enough to catch the other guy. So let's take a look at some engagements in the A6M5 Otsu. Now, like the P-38G, I never flew this plane before, so it is still stock. Compared to earlier models, the M5 has a slightly reduced wingspan, sacrificing a little bit of its turn rate for a little bit more speed. However, the difference is not too huge. The M5 also has modified exhausts that provide some extra speed. However, overall the speed gained over the original A6M2 is only about 20 to 30 kph, so not a big difference. To put that into perspective, even the LAX 3 Series 8 on battle rating 1.7 in Warthunder is 20 kph faster than the A6M5 Otsu at all altitudes from 0 to 5000. Other than that, the Otsu differs from other M5s we have in the game in having one of the 7.7mm machine guns replaced by a 13mm one, so it has a slightly better firepower. In that configuration, the plane is on battle rating 5.0 in simulator battles, which in battle rating EC mode puts it at rank 4. That means, funnily, that in battle rating EC, the Otsu can't even meet any P-38s or Thunderbolts or Hellcats, because their battle rating is too low to get in those. Despite the fact that they are on a completely different level performance-wise, and in case of T-28 model Thunderbolts and P-38Ls also did not enter service any sooner. Funny thing that a plane that got outperformed heavily by its competition can't even meet most of that competition in battle rating EC because said far superior planes are too low in their battle rating. Still though, that doesn't mean you can't have fun in the Zero. Let's take a look at the fighter 2 in it I flew to unlock some upgrades in it. This time we are at Kalkin Goal, and that's my first match in the plane. After a little bit of initial climbing, a team member indicated the position of some enemy planes, and I flew that way, and as I arrive I can indeed see a large amount of planes below me fighting. Very good for my slow Zero, as this way I can catch up to somebody, hopefully. I see one of the planes zoom climbing up, and I keep an eye on this one, because if he turns out to be enemy, he is the greatest threat with the largest amount of energy. It is a friendly though, so I turn around after the planes that passed below me. A teammate is calling for help from there, just as I do so, and for good reason. He has apparently 3 planes behind him, 2 Yak-3Ps and a LA-7. Now, this is both awfully convenient and also something I've criticized and pointed out in the past a lot. You don't want to lemming train ever, and this is why. I set one of the Yak-3Ps on fire and take the second one out, and then I keep an eye on the burning one to see if he goes down while climbing after number 3, the LA-7. The friendly that called for assistance, a N1K, turned out of the way of the LA-7, and I go after the LA, which is starting to dive away. I can't catch up to him if he keeps going in a straight line, but I hope I can maybe get a shot in or get the LA to turn with some fire. So I open fire with a few short bursts when I get in range, first with cannons and machine guns, and then just with machine guns to conserve some cannon ammo. I don't know if I hit much, but at first I can't convince the LA-7 to start turning, and I start to fall behind. I fire a few more machine gun bursts, and eventually the LA-7 does start to turn, and in a tight turn I can catch up to him, but at this point I hear 30mm cannon fire to my left. A faster Hayate is coming in and going after the LA-7, and I don't want to stand in the way, so I move to the side and up to get above my team and cover. If another enemy plane comes in to help the LA-7, I am ready to react to it. My team finishes off the LA-7, and he was the last enemy plane nearby. Now, a little later I'm flying towards a contact I could see in the distance when I'm getting jumped by 2 Yak-3Bs. I do some evasive maneuvers, and since there's 2 of them I call for assistance. While doing so though, I lose sight on the Yak-3s, so I have to reacquire them. I look back while I keep up a tight turn to make a harder target and look for them. And eventually I can see at least one of them a bit behind, and I turn around to engage him. I can't see the second yak though at this point, but since they were behind each other at first, I hope they're still in the same direction and both in front of me now. I do have some friendlies coming in to help now too. The yak I'm flying towards passes above me, and I come around to go after it, but I still can't see the second one, which worries me. So I keep checking my rear while I fly towards this yak and try to get in fire range. I hope the second one is engaged with a teammate. However, it is not, and the second yak dives down in before I can see it, and my Zero takes a fatal hit. A pity, but also a good example of a big problem with turn fights. As fun as they may be, they leave you extremely vulnerable to anyone coming in from the outside, and it is hard to see them coming even if you're actively looking for them in such a situation. Now, a bit later in a new Zero, I fly towards a position that was pointed out by a teammate, and as I do so I can see a plane a little lower and about to cross my path in front of me. The plane is coming from the direction of the enemy airfield, so I hope it's enemy, and I get ready to roll in behind him when he passes below me. Turns out though that the plane was friendly after all, but as luck would have it, an enemy plane is coming in from the other side, and as the two merge and turn after each other, I can get behind the yak and start to attack. I get a hit or two at short range, but not enough to take the yak out, and it starts to dive away. The yak is still maneuvering, which slows it down, but with my stock Zero my speed is pretty bad, and the yak is starting to pull away quickly. I fire a few more bursts after it, and I get a few more hits, but not enough to take it out. As the distance increases, I fire with machine guns only to conserve cannon ammo. Now, we're pretty far in enemy territory, and soon I realize we're getting a little close to the enemy airfield. And the yak is flying straight towards it. Now, with the airfield AA being pretty strong, I don't want to get too close to it, so eventually I break off the chase before I get any closer than I am already. Turns out I got a bit too close anyway in the end, and I take a hit from the AA anyway. Nothing too serious, but with some engine damage I want to make my way back to base to get repaired as soon as possible. I fly to the nearest friendly airfield directly as fast as I can, but as I am almost at the airfield I again have a yak behind me that apparently chased me here. I do some evasive maneuvers as the yak is coming in, and use the superior maneuverability of the Zero to get behind the yak right away. This time though the yak is not using its superior speed to get away, but trying to turn, so I can get behind it and attack. I fire a few shots and get some hits, but the effect is again a little underwhelming, and I am low on ammo from chasing the other yak, so I have to conserve some ammo and only fire when I get a good shot. My 13mm machine gun is already out, and I have only a few rounds of cannon ammo left. So I wait for good shots and fire only short bursts to maximize the effect of what I have left. I get some more hits, but now my cannon ammo is gone too, and I'm down to only a single 7.7mm machine gun, and this does not have that much ammo left either. The yak at this point just flies in a circle though, and I hope it is by now damaged enough that it will go down eventually. And after another circle or two it does, and I go back to the airfield that is close by to get my Zero repaired. This game is going on since a while already though, however, and ends before I can get back into the action, so this is it for this fight. Now that was some action in the A6M5 Otsu, the highest Zero we have in the game at the moment. Now, as I said, in this game it was still stock, and I would like to give this plane another try when it is fully upgraded. Also, the P-38L I will take a look at a later time when there are better options available to do so. Till then, this is it for this video. I hope it was entertaining, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time.